are listening to the most comprehensive paranormal archive on the internet.
Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show. Thank you, Mike, at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. And that's SALSIDO paranormal.com. There's all support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. And there are many ways to support the show. You can share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can sign up for the Patreon feed and get all the extra content there for as little as $1 a month. And you can also check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts and some other items with designs made by friends of the show. And of course, you can always make donations to the show through PayPal. And please follow friends of the show. That would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who joins me on Saturdays as the co-host whenever she's able to, and also has her own channel. And also Ricky of the Anything is Possible podcast, who does a paranormal-themed show on Sundays that I co-host. Also, Michael Strange, host of Trouble Minds Radio, which I often call in and co-host as well, and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP, digital broadcasting, and where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows, as well as my own online 24/7 for free. So that takes care of all the names and the places and all those things. So let's get to these true stories here. Thank you all for being here to listen in, however you're listening. This first one says, so this happened some years ago, 4 or 5, in a town in southern central Michigan. And I have always kind of wondered what exactly it could have been. I have brought this up to a couple of people in my life, and they always wanted to dismiss it as a deer, stray animal, or just a strange person. And I'm 100% sure that's not what I saw. I was driving to work at about 5 a.m. It was still quite dark outside, and it was late fall, early winter. I was driving past a neighboring street in town, not a very great neighborhood to hang around in at night. I saw something that had almost finished crossing the road and was nearly out of view by the time I noticed it at the far end of the street to my right. It was maybe the size of an elongated Great Dane dog, if that makes sense. Larger than a person, smaller than a deer, but bigger than a dog. No tail that I could see. Pale cream, flesh-colored. It looked smooth or short-haired. From the distance I could see it at. The rear leg movement was what made me slow way down to try to see it better, because it seemed so unnatural. The legs were long and almost like a deer, but the rear joint movement was knobby. I don't know if that's a word or not, but anyway, swooping, and had a weird pendulum-type movement. It seemed like it was able to swing backwards too far to be natural, and forward more easily and fluidly than it should have been able to for any animal I've ever seen. I was only able to see the lower torso, that's hard to say, and rear leg area of it when it was moving away behind someone's garbage can and hedge area, so I did not get to catch a glimpse of its face. I was debating on turning around to go see exactly what it was, but given the area and the weird feeling I got, my fear outweighed my curiosity, and I didn't investigate further. I frequently hike and explore outdoors in many states, and I haven't seen anything that set me on edge like this. The whole thing felt very weird to me, since it was in a pretty decently populated area, and everyone I talked to about it brushed me off. What do you all think it could have been? Crawler? And that's the type of a cryptid that people have been seeing for a while now. Pale crawler, sometimes they're called. But basically these pale figures that are kind of human-like, kind of not. There's variations on all these things. It's fascinating that they saw just the back half of this, but it was still enough to them, and still weird enough to them, that they decided to post about it. And if they're out there hiking and all those kinds of things, if they're basically an outdoors person, then you would think they've seen a lot of animals. And they said this thing put them on edge more than anything else they've seen outdoors has. So that is fascinating. I'm glad they didn't go after or go and look at this thing more, or look for this thing more, because for one thing, sounds like it went on someone's property. So you don't want to be going on anyone's private property, especially if you don't know them. But yeah, that's a fascinating sighting. And again, the fact that it was so anomalous just based on the bottom half, that they got a weird feeling from it, is fascinating too. Not all sightings, when people have these experiences, they don't always get to see the whole figure or see the figure clearly because it's moving so fast or whatever. Sometimes it is just the bottom half, or sometimes just the top half. So it's really fascinating. And to me, some of those encounters, I mean, I'm very much open to all these things anyway, but especially some of these where they didn't see the whole thing and it was just sort of coming or going. It seems like if someone was going to make up a story about what they saw, it would be sort of more head on, maybe more interaction. I'm not sure, but it wouldn't be like this, I would think. But again, I'm open to all these things, so I don't. It takes a lot for me to start to doubt an experience when it comes to these written ones. But yeah, that's fascinating, and I come across these so often overall in terms of whenever it seems like, I don't know, more often than not, when I find an account of a humanoid or partially humanoid creature, it's so often it's these sort of white or flesh-colored creatures, and they're coming or going, or sometimes they're just standing there. But looking at the chat here on the screen, it says that I really feel it's hard to describe something you've never seen before. The brain has to process it. Yeah, for sure. Yep. So there's a lot going on there. I mean, your brain trying to process it, while you're having the experience, yeah, there's a lot happening, both outside in the world, and then inside your own brain and your own mind and your own energy and all that. So, moving on to the next one here. This one says, I have been wondering about this. A few months ago, I was on a call with my boyfriend while I was getting ready for work, and he was just on social media, and he was reading out loud this one funny post. I don't even remember what it was, but then it went quiet mid-sentence when he was talking, and all I heard was an elderly lady's voice on the other line calling his middle name 3 or 4 times, and then I heard him talking again. At first, I went, what's my spot? I went quiet, there we go, because I thought it was his mom that came inside his room or uh, at the door. But his mom doesn't sound old, and she always knocks. Also, his room is the only one downstairs near the basement, so he would have heard and always hears people coming down. I asked him if he played a voicemail because sometimes he plays audio on his phone, and I would hear no audio because of settings on my phone. But he said no. I asked if his mom came to his room, and he said no to that too. It kind of scared him after I told him what happened, but I seriously wonder what that was. Later on, I also asked him if anyone had passed away, and he said no. I also asked if he was talking the whole time, and he said yes, even though for me, the whole line dropped what he was saying. I wish I had some type of proof or recording because it's still bewildering to me. Also, we are both Hispanic, so spiritual stuff is also very much tied with us, but he's not into the paranormal, or has experiences with it, if I could talk. But I have been having experiences since early years as a kid. And that's where that one ends. I wonder with that one, so often when it comes to names, unless there's more details, I wonder how often it's just a coincidence that a name is being called, especially uh, if it's a middle name. That's kind of an odd one for someone to be saying over and over again. So it's really, I don't know what to make of that, except that there are so many accounts of people having weird experiences with phones and devices and things. And so I don't know if it was some kind of a glitch or whatever with the network, or it was odd timing that it was just that one voice saying that same name over and over again and sort of coming in and going out when it did. Can't rule it out that it was some kind of just error with the network or whatever, but still kind of odd. I do wonder if it could have been some distant relative of the boyfriend, and that name had more significance with the family than maybe he even knew. Maybe his middle name, because parents give children first and middle names based on other previous family members. So I wonder if there's some kind of connection there um, with a relative that he's not familiar with. But maybe if they had talked to his family, his mom or other people in his family, maybe they would have found some kind of connection. Again, that's really all that comes to mind, other than just some random issue with the phone or the phone company itself. And really, both phones. I guess one or both phones. I'm not sure. Moving on to the next one here. This one says, about 3 years ago, my ex-girlfriend and I were watching a movie at around 3 a.m. We finished the movie, and we were laying in bed, about to get ready for bed, when I all of a sudden got a call from an unknown number. So I answered the call and said hello. I could hear myself saying hello back, like an echo. So I sat there for a minute, looked over at my girlfriend, kind of confused, and then all of a sudden, she got a call from an unknown number. When she answered the call, she said hello. I heard her on my phone, and she could hear me on her phone. It was like we were making a phone call to each other, but neither of us dialed the phone. This instantly sent chills through my body. And today, when I still talk about this experience, I still get chills. I went to my phone provider the next day and asked if they've ever heard of anything like this, and they said no. That's super creepy. I don't know what that could be, and that's where that one ends. That's really fascinating. Again, phones, devices, weird things happening with these things that in a lot of cases, once you find something that works, um, it usually works, and there's not a ton of glitches unless there is, and then it's not that great of a provider, I guess. But yeah, I don't know what to make of all that, but except that these things happen with these devices, and um, Jen and I did a whole show on that, devices and the paranormal, and just how I think it's going to increase going forward, as more and more people are familiar with these devices and how to use them and all that. So, moving on to the next one here. This one says, I have a story that I still think about occasionally. I'm not a religious person at all and doubt anything exists out there, but this experience gets me thinking sometimes. What could it possibly be? I was very little, maybe 6 or 7 at the time. I loved my grandpa. He was my best friend, and we did a lot of things together. But unfortunately, he unexpectedly passed. I wasn't old enough to understand what grief is, despite all the time we spent together. So, when my mom delivered the news, I didn't feel anything specific, and it didn't affect me. But I saw how bad it affected my mother, as he was her only support at those times. Also, I knew that my mom prayed sometimes when things were going rough. So I tried praying and asking God, and the question right there, and my grandpa to come see her one last time. I asked him to dress up, be clean and good looking, not to say anything, but just sit down with my mom and hug and comfort her. I even repeated the word prayer a few times and then forgot about it. Importantly, no one had seen me or heard me. I was absolutely alone in the room and whispered those words. A brief time passed, and my mom came up to me and told me that Grandpa visited her in a dream, all dressed up, cheerful, and just hugged her, saying nothing. So exactly what I asked him for. I was really happy and told her that was because I prayed for that. My mom then looked scared and asked me to never ever ask the dead ones for something. I asked the dead ones for something. Since that time, I haven't asked Grandpa for anything. Growing up, sometimes I asked my mom if she wasn't lying or maybe she was spying on me when I thought no one heard me. But anytime I asked, she swore she wasn't anywhere near me. She also passed this story through my family and other relatives, and everyone was amazed every time. What do you think? I really have two explanations. First is maybe she just wanted to keep it as a, in quotation marks here, holy story as a way to process the grief, and she did spy on me, but she really swears she didn't. Or maybe there is something about connection with the dead relatives. Maybe it's even stronger when you're a child. Let me know what you think and if maybe you had similar experiences. That's where that one ends. That one is fascinating because if if this person as a kid wasn't really religious and but they wanted their mom to be happy, obviously. I wonder if it was something in that desire, that energy, combined with the grandpa having passed away. If this person really did sort of make contact with the grandfather and or God or creator or whatever creative force, whatever you want to call that higher power people believe in. And again, that's nothing for or against anyone, just going with the person's post here. Something happened and this worked, and they did. The grandpa came and visited the mom in a dream because of this request. I understand the mom sort of asking at the time the child not to make any more requests. It makes me wonder too. I mean, was there something to do with the energy of the at the time the child? Again, there does seem to be something with kids and or basically people at the beginning or near the end of life being closer to that other side, being more sensitive or in tune with that other side or with those other energies. So maybe that can explain how possibly that worked too. So I don't know, but yeah, mom felt the realness and it spooked her. Yeah, it could be that too. So yeah, it's really fascinating, that experience there, and I don't doubt it, and I'm glad it worked out basically for the mom, even though she was a bit frightened, which I understand. But let's get one more in here before we stop. And hello to everyone there in the chat. I haven't checked to see who all is there, but I'll check after I get done recording here. But this next one says, "This has happened to my friend and I twice already. The first time it happened, I was just chatting with my friend on a sort of a beach. And this happened in the evening or at night when it was dark out. We were just chatting there and we were interrupted by this sound as if somebody blew on a glass bottle, but it was way louder. So we could both hear it clearly. And the sound repeated for a while. We decided to leave. And the sound was like everywhere. We heard it all around us. And we were there on our own. There wasn't anybody else anywhere near us. So fast forward to today. We went to the same place as usual, and we were just chatting about something again. And then we were interrupted by the same sound again at the same place. I realized just now writing this that I should have recorded it this time, but we just got so spooked by it we left immediately. I just need to know if this is paranormal or if somebody else has heard anything like that. And that's where that one ends. Haven't heard of anything like that. It's fascinating that it was coming from all around them. The sound seems to me possibly to indicate maybe it was something anomalous. Again, I don't know. But yeah, that's an amazing experience. And I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of that one. If it was some kind of sound generated by an unknown energy, unknown consciousness, I'm not sure. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for being here, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.